Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Your Blood Red podcast. I am today's host, Ryan Patton, and I am joined by an absolute Liverpool FC legend, one of the most distinctive voices in football, Mr. George Sephton himself. But before we get into our chat, it's just a quick word from our sponsor, as always, NordVPN. To get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Now, into the Blood Red podcast, I am absolutely honoured to be joined by an absolute Liverpool legend, Mr. George Sephton. George, how are you today?
I'm very warm. I always say at this time of year, I don't understand people who pay thousands of pounds to go and get the sunstroke in it. Somewhere strange, but then I'm just an old grump, but you knew that anyway.
And the temperature is particularly hot in the Blood Red studio, so
yes, it is.
Yeah, if you spot me perspiring, that's the reason why. But it'd also be because I'm in the midst of a legend. Obviously, George, must be a funny old week for yourself. Obviously, you know, Liverpool playing the first Premier League game on Friday night against Bournemouth, and also that'll be the first Premier League game since that won't have your voice orchestrating it. So how do you think it's going to feel on Friday?
I really don't know. It's going to be weird. I know I'm not looking forward to it at all, but it'll probably be all right in the end. Because obviously, I've been doing what I was doing for 54 years. Yep. I've got into a routine, and I'll wander into I think they put me in the main stand. They've given me a season ticket for the rest of my life, which is nice. On the other hand, they're not stupid. I think somebody's thinking that might be about 6 months. I hope not. But it's going to be weird. It's so long since I was out in the open air watching Liverpool play. At Anfield, I've obviously been to European games away and Wembley or whatever. But this will be a whole new ball game for me. And I said to my wife, I hope I can get on with the guys either side. If I get stuck with somebody I want to punch after 5 minutes, I'm stuck.
Yeah, you're used to your own space, aren't you?
Yeah. And not in my own space, but plenty of when I wander around, and I can nip out and go to the gents or nip out and make a cup of tea. But not anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be surreal, isn't it? You know, you're just like it's going to be the normal football fan experience. I suppose.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Also, it hit me that when I last paid to go and see Liverpool play at Anfield, I was standing up. There was none of this all seated rubbish. It was, I started off on the Kop in early 1960.
Wow,
and my mate and I used to go, and we had our own spec. If you got in the absolute dead centre of the Kop, whichever way you looked at it, and got your back on one of the crush barriers, you were fine. Sometimes, if I was working on a Saturday morning, I'd be rushing into Anfield, couldn't get to our spec. I'd end up leaning on the back of one of the crush barriers, maybe, which was not very comfy.
Yes.
I know twice in my life I had ended up with cracked ribs standing on the Kop.
Oh my God.
But what I do say is people tell me I've got a cushy number. At least I've had a cushy number. I keep forgetting to talk in the past tense. I have to get used to it. And I said, look, I did my time up there on the Kop. There's one particular film clip that they show over and over again. Panorama BBC reporter standing in front of the Kop was swaying backwards and forwards. And I said, I was in there.
Wow.
In the middle of that. And if you look at them, everybody's got a suit, jacket, and tie on. And, that was the norm. And, not anymore. Everything's changed so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that the clip when they're all singing "She Loves You" by the Beatles?
That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely iconic clip. Yeah, well, I think the experience on Friday is hopefully a bit more of a modern experience for you. Yeah. Hopefully, no cracked ribs.
Having said that, I shall be on probably on Monday morning, I'll be writing to Liverpool FC complaining about the music. I do have a couple of aliases I can use for doing that. It never annoys me.
Whoever's got that job, they're going to have, you're going to be scrutinising that.
I keep asking people what you're doing, and nobody seems to know. At least if they know, they're not telling me.
Yeah.
Sometimes people ask me, and it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I say, "Oh, Joe Pasquale's doing it," because I used to tell people that Joe Pasquale was doing the audio for my book, and they, just because I was in a mood. But I know Calvin Harris's name was bandied about. I thought, no, they can't afford him. But I say three things: I don't know, I don't care, and it's not my problem anymore.
Absolutely,
I'm over here, understand. Off you go.
Have you thought about what your match day routine's going to be? What are you going to do before and after the game? Obviously, this whole New Zealand.
My first problem, now I've got a season ticket sorted, is parking. Obviously, I've had my own little parking space for the last few years.
Yep.
I actually went down to Anfield during the second half of the second friendly against Bilbao last week and drove around the area looking for parking spaces just to see what the lie of the land is. I've got a blue badge, so in theory I can just park on the double yellows and walk in, but I need to get that sorted, so I'm going to go down early and see what's going on. And obviously I don't have to be there as long as I used to be.
Yeah, of course.
The last couple of years, for whatever reason, they've insisted on me being in the ground 4 hours before.
Wow.
Now, I was thinking on last Monday when they were playing these two back-to-back friendlies. First one kicked off at 5. I would have had to be in the ground at 1 o'clock. And I wouldn't have got out probably 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock. Yeah. And the thought just, wore me out just thinking about it. So that's all gone. So I now can, get there at a reasonable time.
Yeah, you can now enjoy a pint at 3 o'clock and then get there a couple of minutes before kick off.
Well, yeah, I'm just wandering. Hopefully, that's all going to go wrong on Friday. I can see it coming now, but we'll see. I'll have to get into a routine.
How do you think it's going to feel for yourself now? Obviously, being in the grounds on a Friday night here, and you'll never walk alone for the first time, like sort of from your new seat.
Well, it won't be that strange because when I got my presentation at just before the Palace game, they said to me, when you've got your presentation off, Kenny, don't bother getting back to your box straight away. Wait till after kick-off and whatever. And then, of course, I was sat out in the open air listening to You Never Walk Alone. And it was weird because I was... I'd sit in the back row of the dugout next to a girl called Juliette Farrington, who used to work for the BBC. She's now with Sky. I've known her for years as well. And I leaned over and said, you do realise people in the first few rows of the stand will be looking down and said, God, we're scraping the battle for subs today. No, I heard it and felt it. And, as I say, even now, I must have played it, I don't know, 2,000 times before a game, and it still makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
After all these years, when it stops doing that, I'll know, time for the care home.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Obviously, that game, the last game of the season. Obviously, that was must have been such an emotional day for yourself. Yeah. How do you reflect on that now? No, the presentation, the reception from the crowd. It was just incredible, wasn't it?
It was absolutely wonderful. I mean, I've said to a few people in the week leading up to it, it was only decided on the Monday of that week that I was leaving on the Saturday. So it took me a couple of days, for my head to stop spinning.
Yep.
I was actually at a function on the Tuesday night at the Hotel Tea. I did a wedding disco. Haven't done one of them for about 30 years, but there were some Liverpool fans from Holland who got married, and they had guests from all over the place, and they'd actually want me on playing the music. That was all right. And I struggled to keep my mouth shut all the way through because people were saying, how long have you been doing this? And how long are you going to carry on? And I could hardly say to them another 3 days.
Yeah, oh my God.
So I got through that. Then the worst part was on the Friday when the club announced it at 4:00 on their website. All of a sudden, my inbox just went ballistic. If I keep saying I apologise to anybody I didn't respond to because so many people messaged me. I just completely lost track of who was doing what. But I was thinking that this Sunday is going to be dreadful. I'm going to be an absolute blubbering wreck. But because of the way people treated me, Kenny especially, then I say Kelly Cates turned up and made me feel an awful lot better. I've known her since she was
since she was a child.
Well, literally, because she went to the same school as my daughter.
Wow. Yeah.
And Kenny was really funny. Steve McManaman came over and gave me a big hug. I hadn't seen him for ages. I've known him for a long time because his mum used to work in the NHS with my wife, strangely. And then when it was time for the presentation or getting towards the time, I came all the way down around the front of the Kop into the dugout by the players' tunnel. And the number of people who came over and stopped me and said, sorry to see you go, have a happy retirement. Just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then, as I've said to a few people since, if you've never been cheered off the pitch by 60,000 people, you have not lived. Really, that was, it's just too surreal for words. And I said, when I'd calmed down, I said to my wife, I was thinking one thing now, my poor dad. My dad died in 1968. So obviously he'd been a Liverpool fan since the early 1900s. And I said, if you told him that today I was going to be out on the pitch, all these people cheering, I turned around, I didn't notice my name was on the scoreboard. I've got a shirt with my number on them. I thought, actually, it says 54, which is the number of years I was working there. But I told people that's my squad number. I've said that. I just hope nobody else uses it. I'll be really upset. But all these things, if you told my dad that years ago, he would have thought you were crazy. And I still think one morning I'm going to wake up and it was all a dream. But, and then, of course, the presentation itself, I got this championship board on the shirt. And all these things were just so completely overwhelming. And then when I'd calmed down after that, I'd been booked for ages to go over to Liverpool Supporters Club celebration in Harrogate, of all places. And that place was packed to the doors with Liverpool fans, and I was overwhelmed again. And it was just... the whole month was just crazy.
Yeah, well, I was in the Kop on the day of the Palace game, so I heard the reception, and it was absolutely incredible. But it couldn't be more deserved for someone who has been a part of Liverpool Football Club for for 54 years. You all these people, these Liverpool legends, they know you and wanted to come over.
I still get very embarrassed when people call me a legend because I just said. I went to Harrogate with John Barnes and Peter Beardsley. Now those two are legends. I'm just a Liverpool fan. I got lucky by absolute pure good luck and coincidence. And some of the people I look up to over the years, and I get slightly miffed when people put me in their bracket. Well, I've been around for that long. That's all. It's somebody said I'm just part of the matchday experience, and that's it. Because some journalist, not from this paper, christened me the Voice of Anfield about 30 years ago, and it's stuck. But I'm sure there are people that think I was some AI robot all these years, and people people who've never met me, they bump into me. The first time they see me, they're looking at me sideways because I know my voice doesn't match my face if you see what I mean. And I always say people turn up expecting to find, I don't know, some big film star. And they end up with Mr. Blobby, basically. It's a real letdown. But the other way around is good. But I know before we all got these security passes, which we've had the last few years, more than once I get stopped going into Anfield by some new steward, and they went through the same routine every time. Excuse me, mate, you can't go in there. And I'd look at them and say, I think you'll find I can. And then not very often got as far as, do you know who I am? I used to enjoy doing that event, but
surely the moment they heard your voice, they were like,
well, that was it.
As soon as you said hello.
I went through the same routine. I'd take a deep breath. There'll be 2 minutes of added time. And that was it. That was the key. I was, oh, sorry, mate. Off you go.
That's so surreal hearing you say that, just because I've heard that so many times throughout my life. And I think, you don't say that you're a Liverpool legend, but you're part of Liverpool Football Club. Like, my whole match going experience has been soundtracked by your voice. Obviously, you said before, you're a Liverpool fan who got lucky. Can you just sort of tell us the story of how you got involved in the club?
Yeah. My wife is sick of me telling this to people that it was early 1971, probably springtime. My wife used to have a hairdressing business in Bold Street, and that meant she worked Saturdays, but she'd come with me to midweek games. And one night we were standing in the paddock. If you remember the paddock, it's what is now the bottom end of the main stand. Mm-hmm. And the guy on the PA, who was actually standing in for the regular fella, I didn't know that at the time, he made a bloomer, and he was prone to making gaffes. And I was sort of tutting like an old lady, and oh, this fella's embarrassing. And my wife looked at me, deadpan, and she said, it's all right for you standing down here. I bet you couldn't do any better. And that was like a red rag to a bull. And I went home. To this day, I don't know what possessed me, but I got my typewriter out. Remember typewriters? And I wrote a nice, quite long letter to Peter Robinson, who was, his official title was club secretary. It was basically what passes for the CEO nowadays. And the letter boiled down to the old Yossi Hughes line, gives a job, I can do that. And apparently my letter landed on his desk. The same morning, they decided to sling this other guy out. And the next thing I know, I've got a letter, please come and see me. And I'm thinking, aye. And I went in. It was when they were rebuilding the main stand for the first time. Yep. And you heard the story about Kevin Keegan sitting on the bin with his dad outside when he was having his interview. Well, I sat on another bin. And we went in, and Peter had a chat with me, and he decided I hadn't got two heads. And then he decided to give me a trial. In theory, the trial has only just finished because nobody's ever said to me, the job's yours, son. So I just kept telling him like a bad penny for 54 years. And I know the first day, which would be August the 14th, 1971, same day as Kevin Keegan started, I turned up there. I went up. You used to have to go up the side of the old main stand. There was a fire escape. Through the roof of the stand was an enormous space. I kept saying you should open a nightclub here. There's so much space going to waste. And I went along, and you had to go down the sort of conning tower ladder onto the TV gantry. And I remember going down there and looking out at all these people. And I said to myself, what have you done? And I thought, well, I've either got to get on with this or go home and pack a suitcase and emigrate because nobody will ever speak to me again. So I took a deep breath and I got on with it. And the rest, as they say, is potted history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think you were able to do it and suited to? Because obviously you have got a distinctive voice. Did you always know that and sort of think I'd give it a go?
There was no reason on planet Earth why I was qualified to do that, apart from the fact that I don't know whether it's to do with being a Piscean. The first couple of games, I just did what the regular guy had been doing, parrot fashion. Read out a few names, brought some records. At least I was of the generation who could relate to what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And, people say to me, somebody said to me the other night, you've got very eclectic tastes. I said, well, I have. But you've got to when you're doing that sort of job, because obviously you're not playing to one demographic. You're playing to people, I don't know, kids of 5 up to blokes that nearly touching 100. And people of your age, you weren't around at the time, but in the early to mid-60s, this place was the centre of the cultural universe. The Beatles came along. All of a sudden, Beatlemania came on the scene. Then Mersey Beat was the thing, and people were running around this city, picking up anybody who could play a guitar, put them in a recording studio. More or less simultaneously, obviously, Liverpool were promoted from the old second division to the old first division in '62. 2 years later, they won the league. 3 years later, they won the FA Cup. And then the following year again, they won the league. Everton won the FA Cup. And England won the World Cup. So all these things were sort of centred around what was going on here. So I just rode on the bandwagon, really, and it's been the same ever since. But I've built a reputation for playing local talent, and that's been quite deliberate, because I know, having seen what happened in the 60s, and then again we went through the 70s, with Frankie goes to Hollywood and whatever in the 80s, and it was Eric's club, wasn't it, in the 70s, with the likes of Pete Wiley came out on the Lightning Seeds and so on. And I'm really proud of what I've done over the years. I'm not sure I actually sort of propelled anybody into a big career, but I know one or two people have said I did. But I've helped them along the way, and if whatever's happened, people who've heard their music play over that big system, they never get over it. They never, it's something you can't, money can't buy.
Yeah, because at Anfield, it's just 60,000 people you're hearing your own songs.
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that you've able to know you always had that understanding and love for Liverpool culture, that's one of the reasons why you've managed to be such a success in the role?
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is, because I'm proud of being a Scouser. I really get ratty with these guys who say, Scouse, not English. Well, I'm English. You and I are speaking English in England. My parents were English. I don't know about yours, but and when England play international matches, I'm sticking up for England, not the opposition.
Yeah.
But I'm really, again, my mantra, I'm proud to be a Scouser. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but England, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in England. But here, this is my manor, and I still feel part of it.
How do you think being from Liverpool has shaped you to be the person that you are today?
I don't know. I mean, somebody asked me the other day how I managed to fit in my 9-to-5 working life or my family life with what I've done at Anfield, and I've said to it, it's the other way around. My poor family and my successive bosses have had to fit in with what I've done. As the years have gone on, it's been easy because people just don't think I'm nipping off to have a part-time job and make a few quid. They know I'm part of what's actually happening, which is nice. But I say it's Liverpool fans are in a class of their own. They really are. Their attitude to people, Scousers' attitude to people, and if I had a few weeks to spare, I could probably discover why. And I know it's the multiculturalism in the city. Going back to when the place was flooded with Irish immigrants, Welsh people moving over the border, and obviously my name is actually Scandinavian if you go back far enough.
Oh, really?
So there's a lot of that knocking about as well. So we're all mixed heritage, but I think it's probably down mainly to the Irish Catholic tradition of being part of a family.
Yeah.
Because I regard Liverpool fans as a family. Now, they're not just a group of supporters, they're fans. I hate that word, Liverpool fans, because they are the supporters.
Yeah.
So it's the way we treat other people and the way we welcome people. And it's the Scouse sense of humour that helps as well.
Yeah, but I suppose you were hoping to the way you played the music of Scousers, you were sort of, that was your way of looking after the members of your family. That's how
people have said to me I've done a great job. Apart, people always bring up Atomic Kitten, but I was very proud of Atomic Kitten because they did their first public appearance to any sort of crowd at Anfield. There was a hilarious guy, the sound engineer for the first time, frantically trying to time the backing track to what they were doing out on the pitch. And then after the game, I remember going downstairs and a telegram arrived from somewhere for Atomic Kitten. They just heard they were in the charts. And I was watching these people. They were so happy, and just being there when I had that sort of thing.
Yeah,
you don't normally get to see.
Yeah.
And I was, I don't know. I haven't kept in touch with. I see Liz McClarnon every once in a while, and Liz McClarnon's best mate works for LFC TV, and she did my interview when I think. It was when I'd passed 40 years with the club, I think. No, it was when I'd passed 50. They had I had my own programme on LFC TV, which again is just surreal.
Yeah.
I've still got it on the Skybox.
And you still don't declare yourself a Liverpool legend, but you've got your own show on LFC TV.
Just once in a while, I put it on. Makes me feel better.
Do you think as well, like obviously, how you got the job was just taking a chance and sort of
don't try this at home, folks.
But to me, that seems like a very Liverpool quality, sort of backing yourself, and even though. Who's to say that you didn't deserve that job? Do you sort of see that as like something that you inherited from your upbringing, and that you were willing to take that opportunity in the way that you did?
I've been told a lot of people wouldn't. Well, most people wouldn't have done that. But I keep getting told I'm strange, which is fine. It's done me no harm, but. At the time, it's the old saying, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And again, over the years, another pet saying in our house, the worst thing you're going to do is lose the cost of a stamp.
Yeah.
And that would have been it if Peter Robinson had just thrown my letter in the bin. I would have been, 10 pence down or something. That would have been it.
It's an amazing saying to live by, and obviously, you thought it was a good idea at the time, but it was a good idea because you're 54 years later, and here you are able to reflect on this incredible career you've had as part of Liverpool FC. Obviously, I know the first night you said that you were just doing what the last guy done initially. Was there a time when you sort of you lost that imposter syndrome? Do you remember the game it was where you sort of felt like this is your job? You felt a part of it.
Now, everything sort of creeps over you, and I couldn't put a date on it. I just, I don't know, worked my way into the job. Got shouted at once or twice for doing odd things, and but I got to the stage where I wasn't getting shouted at, or if I was getting shouted at, other people would be on my side. I know once in a while, especially since the advent of social media, something's come up on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called now, or Facebook, calling me all sorts of names. On Twitter especially, I'd never reply. Well, mostly I wouldn't reply unless they stated a fact which was obviously incorrect. But if somebody just slagging me off, I'll just retweet them.
Yeah.
Go off, read the paper, have a cup of tea, come back a few hours later and look at the responses. And I'm pleased to say that 99% of the time, people will reply and say, leave George alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always said if it got to the stage where 99% of people were saying, yeah, it's about time the old fool went, I'd go. But it never happened. It still hasn't happened. And now I'm through out the other side with my reputation more or less intact, I hope.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, no, if your reputation wasn't intact, you wouldn't have got the reception that you got against Palace.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny over the years, people have got at me for all the wrong reasons. I mean, the classic was the Chelsea semi-final 2005.
Yeah.
If you remember near the end, the fourth official held up the number 6. And I remember sort of rubbing my eyes, looking, 6 minutes. Where the blue blazes did he get 6 minutes from? And because nowadays that's quite normal. In those days, 2 minutes was usually at 3 at the stretch, but 6 minutes. So I took a deep breath and I read out the fourth officials indicated there'd be 6 minutes of added time. And there's a video somewhere of the greatest ever rendition of You Never Walk Alone from that night. And you can see Rafa looking at his coaching staff saying, what did he just say? And then another 20 yards further down, the blessed Jose Mourinho, my hero, not. He was egging his troops on. He's thinking we've got chances here. Because all they had to do was get one jammy goal, and they were through on the away goals rule. But anyway, we got through it. And the following weekend, my wife and I got the train into town to go shopping. And we had to come home. I got so many people coming up to me, really irate. Why did you give 6 minutes? It was never 6 minutes. What the hell do you think you're playing at? And I had to say to them, no. It wasn't me.
It's not your decision.
No, fourth official, go and shout at him. And the last couple of years since we've had VAR at every game, every home game, I've had a guy in there who he runs the scoreboard and the VAR screen. And if there's ever a decision goes the wrong way for us, you can sit back and give it sort of 30 seconds and his phone will start pinging. And his people downstairs on the cop, that was never an offside. What are you doing? Yeah, we're 1-0 up, we don't want. And he used to have to tell people, no, I just read out what it says on the
it's not making a decision.
It's somebody down in Stockley Park who's doing it, not me. And it's frightening sometimes because I say I felt quite threatened with that 6 minutes job, and it wouldn't take much for one fella to go over the top and lamp people. I mean, they still get even recently people complaining about some of the music, but I say, well,
that's just people's opinions, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's my taste, your taste, and lately, let me think, since lockdown, I started getting suggestions in brackets about playlists from the players because they wanted different things to warm up to.
Oh, really?
Which was, yes. And even this last season, the Spurs game, I got a message from Virgil, a couple of days before the Tottenham game, a list of 10 tracks he wanted me to play after the game if we won the league that day.
Oh wow! So was that like One Kiss and things like that?
Yeah, well,
I
mean, I was going to play that anyway. You know, strangely, but the
stay in your lane, Virgil.
Out of the 10 tracks, I think 4 were already on my playlist.
Yeah.
But of course, the thing now is with Spotify, you can change the playlist at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Before that, I've got the date written down when we went over to Spotify a couple of years back. Before that, I used to build a playlist on a USB stick.
Oh, yeah.
And copy that onto a spreadsheet so you could time everything. Because that, obviously, people, you know, there are people who still don't realise that everything is timed now. That UEFA in particular, they're really finicky. If you play You Never Walk Alone 5 seconds late, they're on your back.
Oh, really?
So, but I understand
that's sort of the stuff. Like, obviously, I just go with the game. I hear your voice. There's obviously a lot of method behind this that like you don't consider.
But I know they play that somebody somewhere is paying zillions of pounds for satellite time. So I appreciate that they've got to stick to it because that's going to cost them a lot of money. Not to mention, you know, the embarrassment of playing stuff at the wrong time. But still, people that email me, you know, we played You Never Walk Alone a lot earlier on European nights, and they'd email, oh, for God's sake, just play it the normal time. I said, I'd get the sack. Is that what you want? Really?
Yeah, oh my God.
And I think it was one of the women's games I got my playlist together, and somebody from the department who look after the women's team came in on the afternoon of the game, and so we're moving such and such. And I'm looking at her in horror, and she said, "What's the problem?" I said, "You've just driven a coach and horses through my running order." What do you mean? Do you think you just sort of stick pins in a bit of paper? No, I don't. This is all sorted, organised.
Carefully curated, eh? You've been in football for so long for Liverpool since the 70s, and how have you made the way football's evolved? Like, watching that must have been quite fascinating, but also frustrating as well.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating and infuriating in the same at the same time. I'm glad that we've got the owners we've got, you know, but that's only because we're comparing them to the, you know, Hicks and Gillette.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I remember the old days when the directors were all local businessmen. Because I've said to people, whatever year it was it early 80s? Noel White came from Altrincham.
Yeah.
And I was furious at these foreigners taking over Altrincham. And they say, Altrincham? Yeah, Altrincham. Sorry, that's the other side as far as I can say. I've been to Altrincham. You know, it's what do you say? It's not twinned with anywhere.
Yeah.
It's got a suicide pact with some town in the south of France here. And people say just an old grouch. I say, well, I worry sometimes that, I mean, here we are this week. The Spanish authorities said there's a La Liga match going to be played in Miami.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about doing that a few years ago. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Fred Blogg, the guy in the cloth cap who scraped and saved for his season ticket, I'm not going to Miami when Liverpool are playing United over there. I'm hoping it won't happen, but I think the Spanish authorities are probably set a really bad precedent.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really is. It's nice if you're a multi-millionaire, you've got a yacht in the harbour at Miami, wonderful. But I haven't. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and I think it compromises, the home and away thing. That's the fairness of the league and stuff like that. It's but even for yourself, like you start in the 70s, then for you to having to do the announcements like some VAR decisions and stuff like that as well. That must have been bizarre.
That was odd. But
yeah, and you were saying about the like the scoreboards, like there were multiple scoreboards.
Well, yeah, that's been the most stressful thing the last couple of years. I think it was around the time I started, we first got the substitute. Because, again, you're not old enough to remember. I remember, the FA Cup final, 65, was the classic case. Jerry Byrne broke his collarbone, and he carried on for 90 minutes, plus had extra time. And there wasn't a substitute.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. It was, we got away with that one. But if anybody else that would have been stretchered off, we would have had 10 men through no fault of our own. Very well if somebody gets sent off, that's their fault, but not. And then it's worked its way through to we've got to the stage we've got benches full of subs. And the last couple of years there've been little rules about when you can bring subs on. There are slots when you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And a number of times that both sides have decided to put 3 subs on at once. And the fact that the fourth official has now got 2 boards, he's got somebody helping him. Your head's spinning all the time.
That's something I would never have considered. Like, obviously, would be like,
try it, especially when they hold their board up, for not as long as you need. There is a rule that the board has got to go above the head and rotate through 180 degrees vertically. And there were 1 or 2 officials who've been driving me batty because they'd be waving the board, especially on a day like today.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what season it was. It'd be August time. And he had the board at an angle. All I could see was light, the sun shining out of his board. I hadn't a clue who was going on and going.
What you do when you don't know?
Well, you hope that somebody else has noticed, and you hope that somebody down pitch side has clocked what's happening. And then, obviously, if you're very quick, you can see the sub coming on, the sub going up. But you're announcing the sub, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes after they come on, which is really unprofessional.
Yeah,
because that's all my fault. I've said for years. Sometimes I wonder if my job title is company scapegoat. I get shouted at for things. I mean, there was occasion a few years ago when the teams came out late, and they I either had to ditch "You Never Walk Alone" or the Premier League anthem. And I thought, I'll get lynched if I ditch "You Never Walk Alone." So I ditched the Premier League anthem. I got all sorts of stick about that. I said, what am I supposed to do? Those 2 tunes, I think they added up to 3 3/4 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
But the teams came out 2.5 minutes before kickoff. You tell me what I'm supposed to do and I'll do it. They're not going to delay kickoff.
Yeah.
Luckily, at the time, the Northwest Regional Organiser with the Premier League, a girl who went to school with my daughter-in-law down in Crawley. What the odds? So I could ring this woman and say, look, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And I got away with that one, but I was getting all sorts of stick, internally from them. And I knew in those days we had a camera looking down the corridor. It must have been before the new main stand was open.
Yeah.
And I knew damn well what had happened because I could see one of the linesmen coming, running up the corridor late because he'd obviously suddenly decided he was desperate for the loo and gone running off, and they were waiting for him. That was his fault, not mine.
Yeah.
I'm getting all the stick. And apparently the club got fined. I said, well...
This is not you there. What else could you have done?
They went very quiet after that. I mean, I say it was very nice sometimes when things went wrong and I could tell them word for word what happened.
Yeah.
And especially now, everything is recorded, so I could say, if you think I'm lying, you get Sky to pull out those last 5 minutes before kick-off.
Yeah.
And you'll prove I'm right. And I'll say they go quiet for a bit, and then
one of the print editors told me a story about when you were after Liverpool played Roma, and it was I was wondering if you could share the Arrivederci story. Yes, you got into a little bit of trouble about it.
That was a complete stitch up, because I was told by somebody I'm not going to name in public at Radio Merseyside that he thought this was a good idea. And he also told me that Rick Parry had okayed it.
Yeah.
This was all lies. Of course, Muggins here, I play it, and I don't know, I still can't go to Italy for my holidays. I've heard all sorts of stories. Fabio Capello, I believe, has a hitman looking for me. Because I came down after the game, and I used to go in the press room for a cuppa in those days.
Yeah.
And one of the stewards got in the way, said, George, I'm going to leg it. And apparently Gerard Houllier was thoroughly embarrassed, because he came out with the wonderful phrase, I only picked the team, not the music. And the following morning, I was working with a guy whose dad was the fellow from Liverpool City Council who signed the safety certificate. And he had told me that the powers that be were furious, because they reckon I'd nearly started a riot. And so I actually tracked down the match commander, the senior policeman, and he said, no, I was only saying to the stadium manager what a nice piece of music it is. If you actually listen to the music, it boils down to, we look forward to seeing your beautiful city again. It was
no malice at all.
No malice at all. And then that was Thursday. Friday night, I ended up being rushed into Aintree Hospital. I woke up and my tongue had swollen up. I was having an allergic reaction to some blood pressure tablets I'd been given, which I shouldn't have been given. I'd been taking them for a while, but I discovered later that what needed to set off this reaction was some sort of stressful event. And of course, I was, really stressed out.
Yeah.
Because I know my son, who is down in Crawley, he has a room full of screens. He's in the insurance business. And apparently one came up saying Italian Fury. That's not something you want to read.
No, it's absolutely not.
So anyway, luckily my wife is a nurse and we live very close to Aintree Hospital. Otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you. And that was a Saturday morning. I'd got out of that. Sunday we were down in Cardiff playing Birmingham in the
Worthington Cup final.
Yeah. And I had a bit to do on the pitch, and then when we finished, I had to go 3/4 of the way around the stadium to get to my seat, and all the way around the stadium there were Scousers coming the other way. And you can guess what they were all singing.
Arrivederci.
I don't know how I got away with that one. But again, I got shouted at. Sorry, I'll never prove a thing.
The scapegoat gets it.
Of course, the fan base thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was the club, the guys in suits upstairs who didn't.
Obviously, that Roma game and the Worthington Cup final, just two games of like legendary Liverpool games. You've been at so many of them. Yeah. Do you have a favourite Liverpool game that you've been at? One that stands out most special?
Well, I'm going to be boring, but the Barcelona game, when we came back from 3-0 down, has got to be the one.
Yeah.
I'll say as a game, that was far and away the best. As an occasion, the Palace game just gone was brilliant. Apart from my personal day out.
Yes.
I was so pleased that we were getting the trophy in front of Liverpool fans, because the previous trophy win in 2020 was just weird. You know, I mean, it looked good on the TV because the way Sky were brilliant, the way they positioned all the cameras. But I was just looking down from my window, and the players are all in this sort of podium thing in the middle of the Kop, and the rest of it was empty. It was crazy. It was just like some sort of weird nightmare.
Yeah.
So the fact that we got past that, and and did that, but Barcelona, it was crackers because you remember the score, that we were 3-0 down against the best team in the world. 2 of our star players were crocked. We hadn't got a cat and hell's chance of getting through after that. I think people had already bought their tickets, and they turned up just to see Messi play and to tell their grandkids that they'd seen Messi and Suarez and all the rest of it. And then, obviously, all of a sudden, thank God we scored early on. Ooh, that was interesting. Half time comes and goes. Gino Wijnaldum scores, or equal, well, level. And then, obviously, the corner taken quickly. So I was looking down, I was watching Trent, saw him walk away, and then he swivels. Think the only other guy in the stadium who was awake was Divock Origi. And the rest of the Barcelona players were sort of wandering around, getting in position ready for the corner. And all of us, we scored.
I turned away.
And I didn't say a word for a couple of minutes, because I'm waiting for the referee to say, take it again.
Yeah.
And it's dawning on me very slowly, he's not going to. We're waiting. And we did. And then at the end, of course, the whole squad is lined up in front of the Kop, joining in, walk alone. And then that finishes, and nobody's moving on the Kop. And I run out of music on my USB stick. And I turn, I always used to keep a little stack of emergency CDs, so very bit of music, just in case things went wrong. I think the first thing I'll grab hold of, Imagine by John Lennon.
Yeah.
Put that on thinking they'd all drift away, and they didn't. Everybody just joins in. And so it went on. For days after that, I was getting messages from people all over the world. I said my favourite was somebody in Sydney Casino, 6 o'clock in the morning was that. And he said the place was full of all these big rugged sheep farmers, and they were all in floods of tears.
Oh, wow.
And that gives you a sense of power when you're thinking, I've got people 12,000 miles away crying because of something
your decision, yeah.
And that was just crazy.
Yeah, obviously you've played a lot of songs at Anfield. Yeah. That's obviously one that's a big great story behind it. Have you got a particular favourite song that you've ever played, Jordan, used as the Voice of Anfield?
Obviously Walk Alone, but after that, I mean, Heart as Big as Liverpool. If you can find it, I'm actually in the video for that.
Really?
Yeah. You've got to watch very carefully. It was filmed in Wallasey Town Hall, and if you watch it was crazy. We were there all day. That was a real lesson in cinematography, because I don't know how many takes we did. By the time we got to the end, I was completely shattered. And I say, if you can find it, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. If you watch very carefully, all the way through, Pete Wiley. He said he'd phone round some of his friends and heroes. I don't know which category I came in. I was there. And there's some very serious people in there, and his family. Now at the end, there's this, coming down the big long flight of stairs in Wallasey Town Hall. You can find that big bloke. I had a blue fur coat on. And
oh wow,
that was well. And then I just come into the light near the end.
Yeah, so I'm going to look out for that.
Well, I can say I was at a rock video just once. And there's something else I never thought to do. So that was the other one sticks in my brain. It's not something I played a lot. But Chris de Burgh recorded a version of You Never Walk
Alone,
after Phil Easton died.
Yeah.
Because he sang it at the cathedral. They went down so well. I'm actually one of the backing singers on that.
Oh, wow.
That's something else I never thought. I've got a wonderful picture somewhere. I've still got a couple of unwrapped copies of the CD. Well, again, if you told me years ago I was going to be Chris de Burgh's backing singer, even though he wants, I would have said, hang on, what are you drinking? But this is the way things go. But that one of Pete's,
yeah, absolutely,
is just it's second only to You Never Walk Alone, in my humble opinion.
So, some favourite match, favourite song, favourite play what you've watched over the years?
Oh, Kenny, by quite some distance. I mean, people ask me who's your favourite, I say Kenny. No, including the foreign players, I said still Kenny. Yeah. I wouldn't swap him for anybody. If you go to the Football Museum in Manchester, Kenny's picture, well, it was on the wall. I don't know if it's still there. The blurb underneath is something I wrote. And I stick by that. He's a fantastic player, wonderful bloke, great ambassador for the club, and an absolute hero during the Hillsborough aftermath. And he's just an unbelievable human being. I'm proud to know him.
So for you to be able to, on your final game, for you to be presented something by him, did that just cap off your time?
Absolutely.
At Liverpool perfectly?
It was one of those, shoot me now things. But I was saying, I said to my wife the other day, I can't remember a word that he said. I was just so far. Apart from when he handed the shirt over, he leaned over slightly and grinned at me. He said, "Hey, it'll never fit you." I won't tell you what I called him, but he got the message. But he was all a big, just part of the occasion. It was wonderful. Yeah.
And obviously now you've left your position. Now you're looking forward to the future. Just how are you? Just how are you in yourself at the moment? And like what's going on?
I'll say I'm super duper busy. Yeah. I've done a few things like this. I'm 2/3 of the way through the new book. I'm doing okay. I need some time at home. I'm in the same position now as I was when the first book was getting together. I had mountains of notes and things, and I needed a few weeks at home in front of my laptop to get it together. And March the 23rd, 2020, good old Boris came on the TV and said, "You all got to stay home." And I was the only person in England, I think, who said, "Thank you." But I'm up to the same stage now. Before I left, I think I had 30,000 words down. I'm now up to 57,000. And now I've got lots of notes to fill. I need to get up to 80,000. I've asked Jurgen to write the foreword. I hope he does. So I'm doing that. And if you see the commercial for the new Adidas home kit, you might notice the voiceover is Muggins here. So somebody said to me the other day, "You should henceforth be known as the voiceover of Anfield." I said, "No, I'm the artist formerly known as the voiceover." That's me now. Yeah. But we'll see.
And how do you just reflect on the whole manner of your exit now? How do you reflect on that now? It's amazing. It all happened in a blur because I wasn't sacked. People say, "Oh, you got the." No, I had a quick chat to my line manager, and it was basically the conversation was very brief along the lines of, "You've got to pack it in sometime. This would be as good a time as any because you're at the top. You're at the top of your game. Liverpool just won the league, and if you go, we'll give you season tickets and this, that, and the other." And that was before I heard about the presentation of Kenny. And the club legally could have just slung me out and said, "Don't turn up in August," because all these years
54 years, I'm still classed as casual labour.
My
Seriously,
God.
I've got a series of cards at home, which I've had one per season that says I'm a casual matchday safety steward. Simply because they couldn't find anywhere else to put me on the computer system. So they said they could quite easily have said, oh, by the way, don't bother coming back in August. And they would have been within their rights to do it. But obviously, the things that they were said at the time, I was, chuffed doesn't come close. On the way it happened. And now, as I say, I keep thinking of some of the stressful things that I'm going to miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is nice. And but I say, I hope I might do another couple of voiceovers. I hope I keep telling people I'm booking for Panto at the moment. I'm available. One of those better, cheaper acts. And I'm just going to see how it goes. If this book all falls into place, that'll keep me busy. Because the previous ones kept me busy on and off for 5 years, which is nice. It's nice to be remembered. And I'll say, I'd hate someone else to call himself the Voice of Anfield. I don't think they will.
No.
I was toying with the idea of copywriting, and people said, you don't need. He'd been that for so long. It doesn't matter what happens now, you're it.
Yeah, no, I think if someone ever did, you just need to retweet them and then see the comments of it.
Well,
and everyone will say who the real one is.
A lot of people have said things like that, which is nice to hear. I say it's nice, nice to be appreciated, as you know, and I've definitely felt appreciated the last couple of weeks, some of the things that people have said. I think, I don't know, I know when the club put it on their Twitter page, I was looking at the page a while later. 2 or 3 hours later, they had 1.5 million hits.
Wow.
And then there were, I think it was 16,000 responses. I just gave up trying to answer. But I think I actually noticed, got directly onto people that I really didn't want to hear it from the internet, which was nice. And then a couple of serious people put things up on the social media saying how much of it. Sam Quack was one.
Yeah.
I think the world of Sam Quack, and what she wrote was amazing. I'd say what Kenny had said previously was fantastic. Mike McCartney, who I've known, another somebody else I went to school with, he put something up on quite a few people like that.
Yeah, it's so richly deserved. I mean, you sent a letter into the club in 1971, and then you leave in 2025. With all these incredible memories, it has been been a pleasure to sort of go on a journey with them. So thank you so much for joining us, George. But even though you might refute it, I do say you are a Liverpool legend. And when I get the chance to interview a Liverpool legend, I always like to ask them to construct their Scouse Rushmore of the 4 faces who they think best represents the city. So George Sephton, who is on your Scouse Rushmore?
And this is tricky. I know I hate picking lists of people. People quite often ask me for my favourite 11 players. And I start off with Kenny. If you have Kenny, you've got to have Ian Rush alongside. Then you've got to have Keegan and Toshack. You can't leave John Barnes out. And then
it gets complicated.
I think the best I've done is get down to about 38 players. The only non-dispute is Ray Clements, because I don't think there's ever been a goalkeeper better than him. Mount Rushmore, obviously Kenny. If you're talking about Scousers in general, not footballers, Paul McCartney has got to be up there. Again, I've heard people moaning about him, but any idea what he did for the culture of this country, not just the city, and what he did for my old school, because it was about to get turned into apartments, and now it's known worldwide. After that, I don't know. I'll probably put Steve Rotherham up there.
Yeah.
Strange, really. I've known Steve since when we moved into our house. He'd just been voted on as a councillor.
Yeah.
And people moan about him, but he's done so much for the city. After that, that's a good question. That really is. I could do with about 3 weeks to think about it. If you're talking about 4 people, there's 3.
Yeah.
And I'm half inclined to put Jurgen up there, but seriously, probably Bill Shankly.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Bill Shankly, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And again, when Shankly came, or before he came, I was watching football at Anfield. We were in the old second division, and the board of directors were quite happy because we were nearly at the top. We were not near enough to go up, but we were getting huge crowds in every week. They were making a profit, chugging along, no hassle. The hassle only came when they won league, had to get into the big division, more regulations, and then Europe, all the travelling, the paperwork, the bureaucracy. So, Shanks.
Yeah.
Gotta get up there.
I'm not going to dispute Bill Shankly or Kenny Dalglish being up there. So it's Kenny Dalglish, Paul McCartney, Steve Rotherham, and Bill Shankly. George Sephton. That's a great scout report, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.